Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you all for the last day FDP on Gen-based hybrid deep learning approach for IoT, organized by the Department of Computer Science Engineering, Vinayaka Mission, Kripanandavarya Engineering College in association with Pencilwith. It's glad introduction to introduce our today's speaker. Dr. R. Jayakumar sir is accomplished academic professional with over 13 years of teaching experience in and research. Currently serving as assistant professor in Hindustan College of Arts and Science since 2021 January. He has a robotic art academic background and including the MPhil, MS in Information Technology and pursuing the PhD at Sankara College of Science and Commerce, Coimbatore. His technical experience spans the programming language like C, C++, and .NET, and the database management with SQL, and the web development using the HTML. Dr. Jayakumar sir is also contributed to the academic through his research with the 7 national and 7 international publications to his credit. In addition of teaching and research, Dr. Jayakumar sir has again recognized as a resource person for the seminar on cut-edge topic with the virtual reality, augmented reality. He's also showcased his leadership with the skill of Young Red Cross Club coordinator and participates in the actively in the social innovators like NSS Special Camp. With his career characters with innovations and resourcefulness and flexibility. Dr. Jayakumar has continued his contribution significant to the academic and community while he is aiming to the professional growth and impactful teaching. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Your voice is clear, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to thank for that wonderful introduction about me. And shall I present my screen, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I think my PPT is visible to all the participants who have joined with us. Okay. Good morning, participants. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to the institution of Vinayaka Institutions, Salem, for giving me this opportunity to share some of the information regarding GAN-based hybrid deep learning approach for IoT. And I think let me change the slide so that from the participant side, just let me know whether you could see the changes which I could apply on the screen. Is it changing, ma'am?
Sir, no, sir. You can able to see entire screen, sir. Slide.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I think everyone could see my screen. Okay, is my PPT visible to all the participants? Okay, fine. Thanks for the response, participants. Okay, so today we have gathered here to discuss and also to know much about the unknown informations and some of the interesting facts regarding GAN-based hybrid deep learning approach for IoT. Most of us, we belong to teaching profession. So we have been dealing with many of our students, and also in our academic life, we have been making our students to get actively participated in different science expos. Say for instance, apart from the academic perspective, we also encourage our students to create a number of science projects by the implementation of IoT sensors. I would like to quote some best examples like Arduino. Of course, we have different Arduino sensor devices and also sensor signals along with the extraterrestrial activities. We can also implement Arduino sensors and also Raspberry Pi sensors in the real life activities, so that we can make the things much more intelligent to get actively participated along with us, so that the output will be well defined and also a qualified output along with the perspective of the students mentality. We can also make them to actively participate to make not working things to work. For instance, IoT sensors can be implemented in any real life, real life activities. Say, for instance, a few of my students, they are much interested in the implementation of Raspberry Pi sensors or Arduino sensors in various agriculture oriented devices. So that once we implement the IoT devices in real life devices, after the implementation of sensors, we can make it much more smarter than the previous case. So this is how IoT helps each and every users to make the devices much more actively get participated in the devices. And also let me share some of the basic information about the purpose of IoT. Actually, in this competitive world, the market is open to all. It depends on our self-interest. We can choose the type of IoT device with which we need to work with. All we need to do is we need to educate ourselves with a minimal knowledge of how to use a particular IoT device. See, it's not actually it's as simple as that, to invest money, because you people won't believe the price of IoT starts from 25 rupees and it extends so on. Actually, the price range may vary. The purchase of IoT device is as simple as that, but we need to know and we need to clearly understand how we need to apply the IoT device in the appropriate position of the devices. That device could be anything. It could be implemented in real life, real time devices, like as I said before. Likewise, here the problem which we normally face is, after the implementation of IoT device in our real life devices, most of us will definitely face various challenges. Those challenges have been included in this slide. Let me list it out one by one. The problem is, suppose if we include an IoT device in one particular object, definitely that particular, during the runtime or when we make that particular object to get involved in our activity, definitely we need to monitor the suspicious attacks. Say, for instance, any person who is not authorized to work with my object, he or she may try to steal my data. So apart from ethical hackers, even the data which is not authenticated, they might be keenly watching my activities without my knowledge. Because in this competitive world, of course, with the help of various electronic gadgets, they may be able to easily try illegally to steal my data. So how are we going to overcome from this particular challenge? It is one of the biggest challenge which is to be brought into the picture, and a solution is to be given. In olden days, that is before the introduction of GAN concept, we would have, of course, the developers would have worked with n number of devices like GAN. But the problem is, GAN, at that particular time, the most requirement was, in olden days, they may not be able to find the way where the actual data attack occurs, because the data attack have been occurring since long days ago. So how are we going to eradicate this particular illegal practice? So for that particular, for the interest of fair play of our activities along with IoT, it's our responsibility. It is the user's responsibility to take care of the prevention of attacks, especially cyber attacks. So how are we going to protect our resources? So this is one of the challenge. So this challenge, as we all know, necessity is the mother of invention. So here the primary necessity is protection. So this necessity, protection based necessity, brought GAN along with IoT, along with deep learning concepts and also models into the picture, so that once we bring GAN, we may be able to find out various processes to distinguish between the real one and the fake one. So this is what a small introduction. With this small introduction, let me tell you some additional informations. Attacks in the sense, of course, as I have mentioned in the slide, it could be classified into different things. Say, for instance, data. Suppose if I fail to protect my data, obviously I may end up with various attacks like cyber attacks, spoofing, wormhole attacks, sinkhole attacks, grey hole attacks. So, say for instance, grey hole attack, sinkhole attack. These two different types of, these different types of hole attacks will definitely focus on its own respective data. There are certain data which could be easily attacked by any one of these hole attacks. So, how am I going to protect my data? So, that's where in this particular position, GAN network plays a vital role in order to detect the malicious attacks, especially in IoT networks. Of course, with a single IoT device, I will not deal it as a single-handed. Definitely, I will include it in networks. Once I involve IoT concept in networks, I may get different opportunities to interact with abroad customers. Say, for instance, if I am a business, or of course, if I run a business organization, definitely I will involve my business in network. So, at one particular stage, the expansion of data will be huge. So, how am I going to protect my data? In the case of small volume of data, it won't be an issue for me to protect a minimal data. But what about the complex data? Suppose after the expansion of my business, it becomes a burden and troublesome for me. At one particular perspective, I need to focus on the complexity of data. So it might become my my full-time job, and at one particular situation, my part-time job would be the business organization. So it should not occur. What is to be done? I need to take care of my data. So once I get involved in network, of course, I have plenty of opportunities. GAN is one of the technique. GAN alone is not a technique. GAN is one of the technique. This particular technical aspects helps me to protect and also to suspect malicious attacks. Once if I predict and also if I detect the malicious attacks, obviously I may take some preventive actions. I believe that everyone could see the change of screen. Okay, so let me once again clearly tell you about the abbreviation of GAN. GAN. In short, we call it as GAN. In brief, we call it as Generative Adversarial Network. Generative Adversarial Network. Obviously, GAN ends with network. So, without any doubt, definitely we are going to deal with n number of aspects, n number of applications, because it is a network. We are not going to deal with as a single-handed. So once we involve ourselves technically with a network, we should be much more cautious, and we should be a little more educated how to properly use the existing resources like GAN. That's what we call it as deployment. A proper usage of GAN is what we call it as GAN deployment, because few business organizations and also the technical experts may not be able to properly deploy. They may be able to properly invest, but the problem is they may not be able to properly deploy. So how are we going to provide solution for this particular improper deployment? So we need to, along with the usage of GAN, along with the models, GAN models, it is the sole responsibility of the users to educate themselves about the proper deployment, so that obviously the end product will be excellent. And most important thing is GAN. Once I bring a GAN network, of course, after the implementation of GAN into the picture, especially in my business, definitely I will deal with two things. GAN helps me in two ways. GAN is associated with two networks, two different types of networks. Number one, neural network. Of course, both are neural networks. Of course, both are neural networks. But the thing is, let me tell you the basic differences between these two things. Number one, first one is generator. Second one is discriminator. The role of generator is it deals with the existing sample data, and with the help of sample data, it tries and it achieves itself by modifying the existing sample data, and it generates further sample data. It multiplies the data sets with the existing data set. This is the primary work of generator. That's why the first type of neural network generator is said to be generator. As the name suggests, it generates with the help of the existing data set. It could be a data sample, especially input data sample. Whereas the second type of neural network is totally opposite. The name of the neural network is what we call it as discriminator. Discrimination. In general, what is the actual meaning of discrimination? Discrimination is nothing but comparison. Even most of our students never like to, actually, they never like partiality. If we put good mark for one particular student and if we reduce mark for the other student, definitely the student whose mark is reduced will arise question to us. So we should not, of course, being in a legal teaching profession, we never do that. But still, for example case, I mean, for the sake of example, let me tell you, the student who have received low marks will definitely arise questions. So we should avoid discriminations, not only in technical aspects, even in our real life activities. So discriminator, as the name suggests, its primary work is it compass. Actually, it receives the newly generated data set from the generator, which is nothing but the first type of neural network, and it just compares the received data set with the actual one, so that it could easily distinguish between the fake and real one, and it projects the real one. This is the primary work of discriminator. And most important thing is, actually, generative adversarial network. The name of this network came because one of the primary reason for naming it as adversarial, because it creates two networks and it makes these two networks to compete with each other. That's what it actually performs. In the case of generator, it helps us to deal with the existing sample data. It generates various sample data and it provides the newly generated sample data to the second neural network called as discriminator. In the case of discriminator, it receives the newly generated data set or data sample from the generator, and it compares, it discriminates, and it finds out which is genuine, which is fake. So this is how it carries out. It gets carried out in most of the cases. Even few organizations, they have been dealing with such things. Say for instance, generator, as the name suggests, it is also capable to create and also to generate different image database. Not only database, it can also be applied for media oriented activities. It is also capable to generate media oriented applications. As I have clearly mentioned here, it is also possible for us with the help of generator neural network to generate audio clips, and it shares those newly created audio clips to the second one, discriminator. Discriminator's primary role, it should discriminate, it should compare. And let me list out some of the use cases of generative networks. Actually, such adversarial networks helps us to get involved in various use cases. See, suppose actually most of us have been encouraging our students, as I said couple of minutes before, we have been making our students to get involved in various projects. So a student, before he or she gets involved in one particular project, he should be, he should receive maximum information about the best case scenario, worst case scenario. Of course, best case scenario and worst case scenario could be seen only after the work gets started, but they should pre-plan before they start their project. Say for instance, especially a project based on IoT, it should be pre-planned accordingly, because a project with IoT, uh, right in the middle of the project development, they may face a number of issues, like technical issues, like malware attack issues, like insufficient resources issues, etc. So it's their primary duty, not only for the students, even for us, even for the end users who are going to get involved in the projects, especially IoT project based. They should be little more educated about what is the type of gen, and will this particular type of gen will be applicable to the project which I am dealing with, etc. So this is how it works. Say for instance, suppose if my project is based on image oriented, of course, without any second thought, I can easily implement generative adversarial networks, and with the help of the above said generator and discriminator, I may be able to find out the difference between the real one and the fake one. Because for how long am I going to deal with the fake one? Suppose without my knowledge, if I encourage the development of, not with the intention, but without intention, after the development of fake data set, obviously at the end of the project, I'm not be able to deliver the project to the customers. In all the cases, a qualified output won't come. So how am I going to eradicate that? So I need to properly use in different use cases. So here, GAN is also used to generate images. Say for instance, it could also be implemented in media-oriented activities. Of course, in our mobile phones, especially in handheld devices, we have a number of applications. Different applications are available. Even a simple app is capable to convert from black and white image to color image. And also there are plenty of apps that are available in Google Play Store, which is much more capable in the conversion of low resolution image to high resolution. But if you look at the second point in the current slide, the above said apps are capable, but still, what is the main reason why I need to prefer GAN than those above said apps? One of the primary reasons is GAN is trustworthy. Number one. Number two, the quality, it never compromises with the quality. Whereas I'm not actually degrading any of the apps, but if you compare the working mechanism and also the process, GAN process will be excellent when you compare it with the previous above said or above mentioned apps. GAN is also capable to edit images. It is also capable in the conversion of black and white to color or vice versa, or whatever it might be. But it never compromises in the quality. So that is one of the reason for the grand success of GAN. And I'm not here to promote GAN, but the thing is, in this technical world, it's our duty to include, to include GAN in our students' projects. So if time permits, why can't the students learn much more about GAN, much more details about LAN, and why can't they compare the use cases with the proposed system as well as the previous one, existing one? So definitely they may be able to easily find out the benefits of GAN especially. And the second use cases, of course, we have plenty of use cases, but the thing is, I have included various use cases. The first one is generation of images. It is completely media oriented. The second one is all about how are we going to, with the help of GAN, how are we going to deal with training data? Because data is not as simple as that. Sometimes we may end up with simple data, sometimes we may end up with complex data. In the case of simple data, no problem at all. With the help of simple applications, I can easily fulfill the processes. What about the complex data? At one particular perspective, I need to clearly monitor, I need to clearly manage data set, complex data set. How am I going to find out duplications? How am I going to remove redundancy duplication? Of course, redundancy should not be encouraged. So with the help of GAN, I may be able to find out the difference between duplicate values, and also I may be able to find out the differentiate between original and fake one. And also various generative models could be brought into the picture. Of course, I can bring models, different models are available, especially generative models. And with the help of all those generative models, I can involve data in augmentation process. So the purpose of data augmentation is for the creation of synthetic data. So synthetic data, of course, there are certain data, it never compromises in its integrity. What to say? The data integration won't get compromised. Obviously, a qualified data will definitely end up with a qualified output. And also, sometimes it is necessary for us to create various data set, fraudulent data set creation or generation is essential in order to train another fraud detection ML system. So this is how it actually works. Sometimes one transaction data is essential to find out some another fraud detection transaction data set or system, fraud detection machine learning system. So in this case, of course, without any second option, I can implement GAN, especially the first type of neural network called as generator. It could be used for some other fraud detection system in the case of fraud oriented activities. Likewise, we can also generate data set for the purpose of detection and also for the purpose of cyber attacks or whatever it might be, or the attacks which I have spoken before a couple of minutes. The third use case is all about how are we going to find out missing informations. Even most of the scholars, especially research scholars, they have been facing various challenges. Say for instance, in India especially, if you take a survey, most of the research projects, huge composition of research projects will be based on medical terms. Another composition of projects will be based on climate change or whatever it might be, climate based, and only few will be based on some unique aspects. Majority of the projects will be based on medical terms. So in such activities, most of the research scholars, they have been facing various issues regarding how am I going to find out missing informations. So GAN, it is the third use case of GAN. GAN provides solution. GAN implements a methodology in order to find out various missing informations. Of course, I cannot 100%, I cannot efficiently find out the missed informations. But all I could do is, I can bring GAN into the picture, I can get trained, and with the help of GAN, I may be able to apply various models. And say for instance, in the current slide, especially in the third point, I have clearly mentioned, for instance, the geographical oriented activities, I may be able to find out the missed informations. All I could do is, say for instance, I need to collect the images with the help of the input images, with the help of GAN, especially with the help of generator, I can generate images of the surface below ground, say for instance, subsurface. So at one particular perspective, I may end up with two different types of images. One is surface image, another one is subsurface image. So once if I bring all this together under one roof, it becomes images, both surface as well as subsurface images. So that I need to involve myself, I need to carefully analyze whether is there any information get missed. So this is how it works. So if I fail to monitor the missed informations, obviously at one particular perspective, I may end up with error. So I should not encourage that. So I need to well in advance. I need to pre-plan accordingly. So in the beginning itself, with the help of GAN, if I find out the methodologies, a solution for the missed informations, definitely I could reduce errors somehow. So especially in the case of geographical map oriented activities, GAN is much more helpful. It provides basic informations with the help of models. We may be able to somehow, with the help of trained data, we could record the informations about the missed informations. So that suppose if we may not be able to find out the missed informations, we could pre-alter and also we can modify the existing projects accordingly. So the above said use cases, not only the above mentioned use cases alone are existing. Apart from those three use cases, GAN is also applicable and capable. It could also be implemented in any real life activities. All we need to do is we need to properly understand the working mechanism of generator as well as the discriminator. That's how it actually works. And next thing is, I would like to clearly mention the working mechanism of how GAN works. Actually, here before taking you to this slide, let me show you this diagram. I believe that all the participants could see a diagram here. So here we could see two persons, one towards the left hand side, another one towards the right hand side. So the left hand side person's role is generator and the right hand side person's role is discriminator. So generator's work is, with the help of existing input, the generator focuses much on the targeted output. So with the help of input data, generator generates multiple data and the discriminator will receive the fake information, the newly generated information from the generator. And discriminator's role is to distinguish between the real one and fake one. Discriminator, on the discriminator side, he will receive two informations, one from generator, another from the actual source. So his or her duty is to distinguish between real and fake, so that with the help of discriminator, we may be able to find out which one is genuine, which one is fake. Now let me take you to the previous slide. So this is how GAN works. GAN, with the help of two networks, generator, discriminator. Generator on one side, it keeps on generates various data sets. It keeps on send the information to the discriminator, whereas discriminator, on the discriminator side, it predicts which one is fake, which one is real. So suppose what happens if we remove discriminator? Out of two operations, only one operations will be carried out. Generator keeps on generating informations, but at one particular perspective, we may not be able to collect the real and also the we may not be able to remove the fake one. We may not be able to identify between which one is real, which one is fake. So in order to distinguish between real one and fake one, discriminator is brought into the picture. And on the other side, what happens if I remove generator? Is it possible for me to make GAN function well without the help of generator? Actually, answer is no, because GAN works perfectly with the support of generator as well as discriminator. Without generator, the possibilities of generation of informations, whether the newly generated information is genuine or fake. The problem is generation of data sets is not possible without the help of generator. The multiplication of data set won't be possible without the help of generator. So GAN needs help. It is based on discriminator network and also generator network. Okay, so at the top here I have shown another diagram. Here you could see two diagrams. At the top, generator network is given. Generator network receives input. It generates a fake image. In the lower part here, I have included two networks in the same diagram, whereas generator, after it passes the fake image to the discriminator on one end, it receives the fake image. On another end, especially on the top, it receives the actual image. So it compares between the fake image and real image. Real image from the actual destination, fake image from the generator. At one particular perspective, either here we have two possibilities, either generator loss or discriminator loss. Generator loss in the sense, if the image is fake, generator loss. Suppose if the newly generated data set is not fake, if it is real, then discriminator loss. Because not all the data set generated by generator will be 100% fake. There might be certain situations where the newly generated data set may also be genuine. Okay, so here this is how it works. Suppose if I, as I said before, if I remove any one particular object, obviously everything will get collapsed. We will not be able to find out which one is genuine, which one is fake. And most important thing is here, being in a network perspective, we may be able to get various chances to deal with n number of customers. If the business organization is brought into the network, either that particular business could be performed domestically or globally. In the case of domestically or globally, whatever it might be, the information should be a well-established information. So generated discriminator never compromise in the quality of images and also in the quality of data. And most important thing is, discriminator never reduces its quality in the distinguishing part. It applies various models to distinguish, to discriminate between the received images and also the informations. And most important thing is, generator neural network, it knows how to analyze the training data set. It very well knows how to deal with data attributes, because the process of dealing with data attributes and data set is not as simple as that. Because at one particular perspective, generator neural network may suffer, because it may not be able to, sometimes if it doesn't has the quality of multitasking, the data collision might occur. But in the case of generator, data collision will be prohibited, and also it reduces the data collision by encouraging itself by its active participation in multitasking processes. It keeps on receiving on one side, and also it keeps on distinguishing in the case of discriminator. So generator performs, I mean, both the generator as well as discriminator, these two neural networks performs, actually they perform their responsibilities on a good way only if we pre-plan accordingly. And most important thing is, in joint hands with GAN, we may be able to successfully achieve it, so that end of the day, somehow we may be able to avoid data collision, and also we may be able to carefully watch how it actually works, and the above said cyber attacks could also be reduced. And most important thing is here, during the time of passage of generator, actually the primary role of generator after the generation of data set, it passes to the discriminator. So establishment of network is very essential between generator and discriminator. What happens if the network is absent between generator and discriminator? Generator needs to suffer. It may not be able to find out any path. So a well-established path is to be is to be implemented. A non-well-established path should be eradicated. The path should be sufficient, and the generator and the discriminator should be placed in such a way that these two networks should share information, should exchange the information each other without any problem. Suppose if something goes wrong, if some technical issues or whatever it might be, if the path gets disconnected, we may face various issues in future. Once if the process gets activated, at one particular perspective, there is no guarantee that the path functions well. What happens if the path gets discontinued, or what happens if the path gets braked or suspended? Definitely generator may not be able to pass the modified data or the newly generated data to the discriminator. So the role of generator and discriminator, along with the well-established path, all these three things are the primary essentials in the case of GAN. If these three essentials are well established, obviously we may be end up with success. Here I have projected another diagram where towards the left hand side you may be able to see generator, and right in the middle we may be able to find out discriminator. So you could see various arrow marks between each and every components. Here of course we have various components along with arrow marks. What happens if I remove arrow marks? We may not be able to make generator to get communicated with discriminator. So in order to avoid such problem, it's our sole responsibility to establish a connection. So here GAN works in such a way that generator's job is it receives some random input, it generates information, and the fake sample will be passed with the help of network to the discriminator. Parallelly, at the bottom part, discriminator also receives information from real data. It receives a real sample and it compares, and based on the test case, if the sample is real, obviously discriminator wins, generator loss. And in the case of generator sample, if generator sample is genuine, vice versa, generator wins, discriminator loss. This is how GAN works. Okay, so as of now we have discussed about the process of GAN, how it works with the help of generator and discriminator, what is the role of the established connections between these two things, what happens if we remove the network between these two things, will it suffer, etc. So right now we have plenty of opportunities, we have plenty of options, we have a number of IoT devices. Each and every sensor devices are totally different. If one sensor device, I have my own personal experience. I have worked with Arduino sensor devices. It is one of the IoT device. I have tried my level best in the implementation of Arduino device with a sample working model. I'm not be able to tell my actual idea. The thing is, I have my own idea and I would like to file a patent for my own idea. So just for example's sake, let me tell you, after the implementation of IoT sensor device with the device which I have opted, I have faced various issues. The problem is the proper indication of signals is not achieved by me. I may not be able to properly connect the device with the IoT sensor with the device. So later on, I got a little education and about the proper usage of that particular IoT device. Why this problem occurred to me? Because I did one mistake. The thing is, before the easy understanding of the proper utilization of the IoT device, I have implemented at first and later on I realized. So that's what I suggest to my students too. It's a good practice of implementation of IoT sensor kits in various devices, but with a proper education. Education, what I mean is, a simple guideline is much more enough. It is capable for the user to get educated about the proper deployment of that particular IoT device. Likewise, here each and every IoT supports different types of devices. Likewise, here GAN is also associated with different types of devices. Okay, for instance, the first type is said to be vanilla GAN. Of course, we have different types of GAN. Each and every GAN is associated with its own networks like generator and discriminator. Because if we remove any one of these two networks, obviously, as I said before, we need to, without any option, we need to compromise the quality. So it's not a good practice. So the type of GAN, each and every type of GAN is associated with its own network. Say for instance, generator and discriminator. Okay, I would like to tell about a small description about the first type of GAN called as vanilla GAN. This vanilla GAN, in this case of vanilla GAN, actually generator never receives any feedback from discriminator. If generator works on its own aspect without receiving, sometimes in some cases it may receive some little descriptions from the discriminator network. In majority of the cases, a generator, suppose if a generator receives a little description or without description from discriminator network, that particular type of network is what we call it as vanilla GAN. Except vanilla GAN, you are most welcome to implement various other type of GAN. Definitely generator network will somehow receive majority of feedbacks and also descriptions from discriminator network except vanilla GAN. Second type of GAN is what we call it as conditional GAN. Say for instance, before a couple of slides, I have informed you all that GAN, especially generator GAN, is not only capable and also it is not only applicable for academic or business organizations. Apart from those aspects, it is also applicable for media oriented things. Generator is also capable to generate image oriented data sets. It is also capable to deal with audio clips or whatever it might be, audio based data sets. It contributes much in media oriented activities. So likewise here, say for instance, with the help of a generator network, if I try to generate images, how am I able to generate images effectively? So second type of conditional GAN is, especially these types of GANs could be seen in media oriented activities. Suppose if generator generates an image, it has two options. Either it can generate an image on its own, or it needs to collect the description from the user, like how that particular image should be. The information, the content of the information and also the description of the information will be provided by the user. So such type of GAN is what we call it as conditional GAN. If a work is carried out or being carried out based on one particular condition, then that particular condition, then that particular GAN is what we call it as conditional GAN. Say for instance, in the second point I have clearly mentioned that suppose generator generates an image, how that particular image should be, what is the content that is to be included in that particular image. So all those informations, all those descriptions is what we call it as that particular information is what we call it as condition. A condition based image could be generated with the help of generator. So if it generates a condition based image, obviously that particular type of GAN is what we call it as conditional GAN. Now I would like to compare conditional GAN with the previous vanilla GAN. In the case of vanilla GAN, only a little description or generator never receives any description from discriminator. Whereas in the case of second one called as conditional GAN, definitely in all the aspects, generator receives two informations. Number one, condition. Number two, descriptions from the discriminator. Third type of GAN is what we call it as deep convolutional GAN. In the case of deep convolutional GAN, in short we call it as DC GAN. Here for the first time, I would like to introduce another new network, type of network into the picture called as CNN. In short, we call it as CNN. In brief, we call it as convolutional neural networks. Convolutional, deep convolutional. CNN stands for convolutional. Deep convolutional can be represented as DC GAN, where we are going to integrate the concepts of two networks on a single-handed. Number one, CNN gets integrated with GAN. If you look into the architecture, you may be able to see a mixture of architectures of both CNN as well as GANs. But GAN and CNN, they are not same, they are totally different. We need to take the concept much more deeper. How? Of course, because of the integration of these two concepts of networks all together, I may be able to work much more deeper. And we end up with DC GAN. Here, the proposed system. Actually, this system is a proposed system where after the architecture gets merged, CNN and GAN gets merged, of course, it will be much more helpful for me to improve the standard integrity and the sustainability of data distribution. Of course, we have different requirements. First most requirement is data distribution. After the network establishment between generator and discriminator, not only between the generator and discriminator, a network between client and server or between various clients, data distribution should be properly carried out. There should be some technique, there should be some model who should take full responsibility of how effectively data is to be properly distributed. What happens if this monitoring process gets removed? I am not be able to find out where my data is distributed. I may not be able to find out in which particular part data gets missed. So I should not encourage such activities. It's my sole responsibility. So with the help of DC GAN, I need to properly maintain and monitor whether all the data gets equally distributed or not, whether all the receiver side gets data without any technical issues or not. So that is one of the primary factor. I need to upscale the process of data distributions. So generator uses this conventional aspects to upscale data distribution, whereas on the other hand, discriminator uses such layers to classify data. See, classification and data distribution, these two primary activities should be properly carried out with the help of DC GAN. So in future, DC GAN can also, I mean, the features and specifications of DC GAN can also gets increased. So the effective usage of classification and distribution will also be carried out in an effective way. But in olden days, without, before the introduction of DC GAN, they would have faced issues regarding two aspects. They may end up with errors in data distribution, and also they may face various technical issues in the data classifications. So in order to provide solution for these two primary aspects, DC GAN was introduced. Second type of GAN is what we call it as super resolution GAN. Before a couple of minutes, I have quoted various examples, like we have plenty of apps in our Google Play Store. Few apps will be helpful for us in the conversion of black and white to color or vice versa. Another set of apps will be much more helpful for us to improve the resolution especially from low resolution to high resolution, etc. Here, in order to actively participate and in order to upscale the resolution image to high resolution, GAN, especially super resolution GAN, will be much more helpful in the images that are being, especially image data set that are being generated with the help of generator neural network. The app which we normally use is for commercial purpose, whereas there should be some technical aspect which should take responsibility for taking care of the image resolutions of the data set. So super resolution GAN takes that particular row. It actually it takes full responsibility of the monitoring process of conversion of low resolution to high resolution or vice versa. But most of the organizations never involved in the opposite process, whereas they get involved in improving the standard and also the quality of resolutions. Only minimum projects they will try. Their attempt will be based on the reverse process of reducing the quality. But here super resolution GAN takes care of improving and also upscaling the processes, like from low resolution to high resolution. And also we have another type of GAN which we call it as Laplacian pyramid GAN. This particular GAN addresses a challenge. Say for instance, of course, during the time of conversion of low resolution to high resolution, definitely the image will be decomposed. Meaning of decomposition is I need to break down images. At one particular perspective, problem occurs. So Especially generator plays a vital role in the process of conversion of low to high. So at that particular time, when with the help of generator, when the image gets broken, obviously in order to avoid problems, Laplacian pyramid GANs takes care of the process, and also it keenly monitors whether the pixel gets broken or whatever it might be. It never it keenly monitors, and it maintains the standard of process of resolution conversion. Whereas at the other end, it also uses various hierarchical approaches with multiple generators and discriminators, and also it never compromises in the resolution conversion. So as of now, I have shown, of course, we have discussed about various types of GANs. Let me list it out once again. First one is vanilla, second one is conditional, third one is deep convolutional, fourth one is super resolution, fifth one is Laplacian pyramid. If you look into, of course, we have discussed almost 5 types of GANs. Each and every GANs are unique. One type of GAN will not be as same as the second type, and also the processes and the working mechanisms of generator and discriminator will be totally different. The only thing which is common between all these 5 GANs is the common thing is the usage of generator and discriminator. Usage of generator and discriminator will be carried out simultaneously, and all these 5 different types of GANs uses both generator as well as discriminator. They never skip any one out of these two. If we skip, as I said before, if I skip any one of these two networks, obviously I need to suffer. I mean, the person who is going to work will definitely suffer. Okay, so I would like to quote another example. Say, for instance, as we all know about the concept of AWS. AWS, Amazon Web Service. Actually, it's a product of Amazon. I can subscribe. I need to invest money. Of course, I need to spend money, not invest. I need to spend money, and I need to subscribe. After the subscription, I may be able to fulfill my requirements technically. So this is how Amazon Web Service works. Here, Amazon Web Service contributes its portion for GAN requirements too. During the time of process, especially GAN process, there are various requirements. So we have 3 classifications of Amazon. Actually, Amazon Web Service offers 3 applications. These 3 applications offer various services. It acts as a support and fulfills the requirements of GAN. First service is Amazon SageMaker. Amazon SageMaker helps us to fully make use of the available service. It actually never encourages partial fulfillment. It always suggests a full-fledged fulfillment of the requirements. That's how it works. It properly manages the models. With the help of SageMaker models, it implements various models. It works with different types of workflows and a full deployment machines. A machine could be fully deployed. Second type of service is what we call it as Amazon Bedrock. Amazon Bedrock is also another fully managed service. With the help of this service, I may be able to access various foundation models. So all these foundation models, along with application programmable interface, somehow I may be able to manage between 2 types of networks, generator and discriminator. Because managing these 2 networks is not as simple as that. So with the help of all these foundation models, I can effectively manage and make the processes user friendly. Third one is Amazon Web Service, AWS Deep Composer. Deep Composer, actually it is applicable for media oriented activities. Here also definitely I am going to deal with 2 things, 2 networks, generator and then another one is discriminator. So at one particular perspective, generator, when it tries to generate audio oriented clips or whatever it might be, media oriented images might get broken and the quality might get affected. So this particular service will never permit image generation process to avoid such collisions. So as of now, I have showcased three different types of services offered by AWS. Of course, all we need to do is we need to subscribe and we need to choose which type of service is applicable and what to say, which is relevant to the project which we normally deal with. Either it could be what to say, media oriented or academic part or whatever it might be. So in the case of deployment, a full deployment process, I can prefer image SageMaker. In the case of what to say, in the case of foundation models, if the project with which I am currently dealing with, if it requires foundation models, I can prefer Amazon Bedrock. If I deal with media oriented projects, I can prefer the third one, Deep Composer. Okay, so I would like to share some of the information about convolutional neural network. Of course, before a couple of slides, I have showcased you about deep convolutional neural network. I would like to tell you the primary differences between DCNN and CNN. In the case of DCNN, let me take you once again to the same slide. In the case of DCNN, here the process actually works after the implementation of the architectures of two things. Number one, say for instance, CNN join hands together with GAN, generative and also convolutional, both should be brought into the picture. So I may be able to work with deep convolutional process. So once if we integrated all these aspects together, the architecture facilitates myself to effectively deploy the available resources, especially in the case of data distribution and classifications. Actually, DCNN involves in two primary activities, as I said before in the current slide. It keenly monitors and manages data distribution. At the same time, it also classifies data. Now, I would like to take you to the slide where here we deal with convolutional network. Let us understand what CNN is actually. What is the purpose of the usage of CNN? Already I have GAN. I have plenty of options. Even though I have GAN, what makes me to choose CNN? This is the question which we need to ask ourselves. Answer is here. Convolution is totally different with GAN. GAN is also another type of neural network. Convolutional neural network is totally different. How it is totally different? CNN has its own unique features. It learns itself. Especially different types of features could be learned by itself. Actually, it learns from its previous experiences. That's how it works. Automation will be much more easier. The process could be easily carried out. That is not necessary for me to inject an external force in order to make CNN to learn. It learns by itself. So this is an added advantage. Whereas in the case of GAN, there should be someone, there should be an external force. In the case of or in the form of input is to be given. GAN also performs the same, not only the same, even it is capable, much more capable to perform various operations. But CNN learns by itself. And this type of deep learning network is totally different. The prediction level could be upscaled. It can also involve, I can also involve CNN in majority of the media oriented activities. It takes care of non-compromising qualities in text, images, audio. Because in recent years, customers' expectations are totally different. They expect well-qualified images. Say, for instance, if they prefer to go to one particular theater, they will look into the first most important thing is they will keenly watch and look into the surround system, theater surround system. That's how the business is in recent years. So being a business runner or an organization owner, none of the business developers or whoever it might be, they never like to compromise in their products. Okay, I would like to, in this slide, I would like to make everyone to clearly understand about the primary differences between CNN, GNN, GAN. Actually, the thing is, let us compare CNN with GAN. Here, in the case of CNN, it is a type of machine learning algorithm, obviously. So, GAN also makes use of machine learning and also deep learning. No question about it. But the thing is, how CNN is totally unique with GAN. CNN, is it capable like human to observe things? Answer is of course yes. CNN, like human, it may be able to observe. Observation is the primary thing. With the help of observation, CNN is capable to recognize patterns. What is the purpose? Why we need to make CNN to recognize patterns? After the recognition of patterns, I may be able to generate output. At the same time, I may be able to record the information. I may be able to deal with different patterns that are already recognized. I can compare with the newly recognized patterns. I can find out the redundancy, etc. And second question is CNN and also GAN is capable? See, in the case of first point, CNN is capable to recognize patterns. My second question is GAN capable to create data? Answer is yes, of course. With the help of pattern, if one particular data is given, if the input data is provided to GAN, it is much more capable to create data. That's why it makes use of generator. If I remove generator, I may not be able to generate new data. My second question will be, the newly generated data is genuine or fake. So I also have another solution with the help of discriminator. Answer is discriminator network. Not all the data will be given directly. With the help of discriminator, all the newly incoming generated data sets will be monitored with the help of discriminator, and I need to shortlist the genuine one, and the genuine one will be handed over. So the question for can a machine learn to create like a machine? Answer is yes. So all I need to do is, I need to make use of two things, two concepts. I need to implement the architectures of CNN and GAN, so that I can take myself deeply. So either I can use individually or I can integrate the architectures. Everything, the integration, purpose of integration, it is based on the type of the project and the type of the requirement. Suppose if it requires an individual perspective, no problem at all. It is not mandatory or compulsory that I need to bring these two architectures under one roof. And next thing is, what if machines could learn to do both? At one particular perspective, I may definitely expect my machine to recognize patterns and also to create data. Is it possible for the machine to perform these two processes simultaneously? Indirectly, my question is, will a machine be able to multitask? Answer is yes. How is it possible? I need to make use of CNNs and GANs. So these two powerful machine learning algorithms will be helpful for me to to perform various processes: creation of data, recognition of patterns, various patterns, data distributions, and also most important thing is quality of data should not be compromised. So all these information should be keenly monitored. At the same time, most important thing is based on the type of project, based on the requirement, I can decide myself whether I need to use CNN separately and GAN separately, or both models should be clubbed together. Most important thing is, CNN will be much more capable to recognize patterns. GAN will be much more capable to create data. And if I perform these two things, of course, the end product will be good, no doubt about it. And also CNN has its own layers. Especially in second point, I would like to share some information about three primary layers of CNN. First layer is what we call it as convolutional layer. Second layer is pooling layer. Third layer is fully connected layer. Each and every layer, they are totally different. It is unique. In the case of conventional layer, it extracts information, especially features from data. Its responsibility is it shortlists features of data. So at one particular perspective, definitely after the collection of features, I will record for my future reference. Point number one. Number two, purpose of pooling layer is to reduce the size of data. If I skip pooling layer, the data complexity will be much more high. So in order to reduce the size, I may be able to use the second layer, pooling layer. Third layer is I need to predict. The prediction should be good. Prediction should be relevant. Unnecessary predictions never performs or it never gives any justice for the project which I deal with. So all these layers are available in CNN. In GAN, with the help of generator and discriminator, we may be able to somehow manage with the primary resources. I mean, not only primary resources, various operations like deployment, data distribution, quality compromisation. Quality never gets compromised, and also data distributions, pattern recognitions. All these operations could be easily carried out. In the case of CNN, reduction of size, and also most important thing is we need to keenly monitor about the features, and prediction should be carried in a well established manner. GAN, CAN join hands together to establish all these operations. Okay, I would like to mention some of the important benefits of GANs. Of course, CNN is also associated with its own benefits, but GAN is associated with much more additional benefits. Say for instance, creativity. GAN is much more creative. That's why GAN is applicable and it is capable. It could be implemented in various aspects, especially media-oriented activities. Number two, GAN is much more flexible. It is user-dependent, user-friendly. Before we make use of one particular product, that particular product is to be user-friendly. Suppose if that particular product is not convenient, we should not choose that particular product. Before the usage of GAN, in olden days, early 2000s, few organizations, they have conducted various meetings, and few developers, they have attempted in the usage of GANs, and they have faced various technical issues. But the flexibility gets upscaled only after the refinement of GAN. Refinement, what I mean is, the refinement helped the users, especially GAN users, with the proper utilization of data distribution, quality non-compromisation, and generation of images, generation of data sources, and also most important thing is the passage and also the network between generator and not only distributor, the discriminators, etc. And most important thing is scalability. Here the data integration is much more capable. Data should be integrated. And what about the protection? Protection is to be given. Without protection, we may not be able to do anything. So GAN somehow, one of the important feature of GAN is it takes care of malicious attack. Suspicious attacks could be predicted well in advance, so that I can pre-plan accordingly. So that obviously GANs will be capable and it is also flexible to use. Scalability will be much more good, especially in the case of machine learning training models. GANs will be a perfect choice. Actually, it's a good choice. And most important thing is Here, generation is a vital role and it plays a major role, especially in the training models. I would like to classify generation into two categories. One is image generation, another one is text generation. So, most important thing is in the case of image generation, of course, the image quality should not be discriminated. Image quality should not be compromised. So, what is to be done? A realistic image should be generated. So, GAN makes use of generator to create such types of non-compromising realistic images. And after the creation of images, for what purpose are these images are being generated? They could be, the realistic images, especially the end product images could be used for various e-commerce websites. Not only for e-commerce websites, it can also be used for various commercial applications. Number two is text generation. Of course, text generation is important and it plays a vital role because in this competitive world, in this business world, information description should be clearly displayed on the monitor. In order to make and also in order to grab the attention of the customers, we need to maintain the sustainability of the description. Suppose if the information is posted partially, customers will prefer some other organizations. Customers or the end users should be they should be provided with a well-established descriptions about the user guidelines of that particular products. And also the text descriptions can also be used for multi-purposes, especially for media-oriented activities. Realistic text could also be used for news articles. And even text generation can also be much more used in the case of research-oriented applications because in the case of thesis writing, synopsis writing, whatever it might be, in the case of research-oriented activities, text generation plays a vital role. So, text generation is one of the most important. Text generation is one of the most important primary aspect where we need to take care of much more detailed activities and detailed text is to be showcased to the customers. And most important thing is most of the research activities and also scholars, they may not be able to find out which one is genuine, which one is fake. They just proceed with the fake informations without their knowledge. So how are we going to provide solution for such activities? So with the help of GAN, somehow we may be able to educate the scholars, especially research scholars, to avoid plagiarisms or whatever it might be, because they need to clearly educate, they need to be educated about the primary differences between real and fake. And most important thing is here, apart from image generation, text generation, here GAN is also applicable. It is to be applied in media oriented thing. Even it is capable in the process of music generation too. So here audio quality should never gets compromised. So here GAN plays a vital role in a proper usage of the media oriented models, training models, in order to deliver a qualified output. And the fourth benefit is data augmentation. So how am I able to augment data set? A collection of data set is an easy task, no doubt about it. But after the collection of data set, how am I able to monitor and manage? Management of data set is very important. I need to monitor, I need to manage, I need to provide a better performance. I need to improve the performance of machine learning models, how it could be carried out. So data augmentation is essential, especially with the help of existing data, with the help of generator. Data augmentation should be, frequently performed in order to augment data sets. In order to use augment data sets could be used, and it will be much more capable in training oriented activities. And the next benefit is visual try on. Why can't we deal with visual, imaginary oriented things, whatever it might be? In recent years, everything becomes visual. Of course, GAN can also be used to create visual try on applications. Say, for instance, um, one of the best example for visual try on is fighter jet pilots. Actually, fighter jet pilots, before they take off their fighter jets, they will be permitted to sit in a simulation kind of activity. They will be provided with VR box. Actually, they will be seated in a room with a 360 degree screen, and the video clip will be played, but physically they will be inside a room. They will not be flying physically, but virtually they will be flying. That's what we call it as simulation. So all those kinds of activities could be made, could be applied with the help of GANs. And most important thing is product design. How am I able to make my business, how am I able to make my customer to purchase my product? The design of the product is to be in such a way that it should grab the attention of the customer, or else customers attention will be fluctuating, because we have plenty of options. Customer will easily leave one organization, and he will prefer some other products of some other brands. So in order to make the customer to sustain, and also in order to improve our business standards, product design should be carried out in such a way that the generation of realistic images of all those products will definitely makes use of our products, and also will make our customers to clearly monitor what are the products that are available, how many products are being dispatched, how many products are being manufactured, etc. And most important thing is, I would like to conclude my session by what to say, by once again exhibiting the importance of both CNN as well as GAN. All these two powerful machine learning algorithms are essential in order to carry out various processes which are being discussed so far. And most important thing is, CNN has its own different types of levels. Not only levels, it also associated with different types of layers. GAN is associated with different unique features. So once we join hands together with such neural networks, it is easy for us to fulfill the business standards. And also most of the business improvement could be easily carried out. All those requirements could be easily fulfilled. Any questions? It is possible, but it is not an easy task for the generation of image and text on a single-handed part. Suppose if we try to generate both image and text images, obviously it's a tricky process. And most important thing is quality. Of course, if we are ready to compromise the quality, then we could try our level best. But a professional suggestion is, most of the organizations and also most of the technical experts, they have been strongly recommending for the generation of images separately actually. fine tuning can be performed parallelly, but the only thing is without, I mean, first of all, a discriminator should receive, first of all, discriminator should receive the images from generator. So without the images are being generated by the generator, both the operations and also fine tuning is very tricky process actually. Any more questions?
So, any questions from participant side? You can raise your hand, or you can unmute, or you can post in chat box. It's time to welcome Ramanarayanan for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, it's a nice afternoon to everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks at the conclusion of this enriched 60 online faculty development program on a GAN-based hybrid deep learning approach and IoT. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished resource person and speakers who have shared their experience, insight, and cutting-edge research throughout this program. So I would like to thank for all the participants and the enthusiasm and activation in activation active engagements. Once again, I extend my sincere thanks to our management, Principal Dr. R. Satikumar, and then Vice Principal and HOD of CSE, Dr. N. Nitya, for a given consent to conduct this FDP. Lastly, my genuine gratitude to our principal organizer team for supporting and ensuring the smooth online sections. And to everyone behind this scene who has contributed to make the FDP in success manner. So thank you once again and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
On behalf of Pencil Bits, it's my heartfelt gratitude to thank Ramanarayanan sir and as resource person and the participants for making the event successful. You might insight and the participants has enriched are grateful. A special thank to organizing the Vinayaka Mission Karipanandir Engineering College for efforting and enriching this program successful. I thank you all for presenting and emphasizing. Let's all carry on the forward knowledge and gain it today. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jay Kumar sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.